Wouldn't it be nice if Google could lead us to the doorsteps of vulnerable systems? The answer is it can, using advanced Google operators. And in this nugget, I'd like to show you what they are, how they work, and some examples of where you can get thousands of pre-built search strings. Let's begin. So we've all used the search engine before, and we've also used some operators. What I'd like to do is just review a couple of basic ones with you, and then we'll take a look together at how we can kick that up a whole nother notch with some advanced operators and advanced searches, and also how we can leverage an amazing collection of some really useful queries that leverage those advanced operators. So to start off, let's bring in a browser. I'm using Chrome and I'm in incognito mode. That way, anything I've been searching for in the past and what have you doesn't need to show up here in this recording. So let's start by doing a quick search for bird feeder. So I'm just going to type bird space feeder here in Chrome, and that's automatically going to translate to a Google search because I have Google as my default search engine for my browser. And I have a friend called Sean who's really into birds and bird feeders. And Sean, this little segment's for you. So this is bringing up the search information for anything that has the word bird and feeder in it. And then we can scroll through the 1.2 million results that Google has fed up to us. Now, let's say, for example, we wanted to get a result for bird feeder, but we did not want to have, I'm going to just pick on this for a moment. I'm sure Duncraft is a great company, but I'm going to go ahead and specify in my search that I don't want any results that involve the word Duncraft. Again, this is just for an example. So I'll put a space and I'll put a minus sign and I'll put Duncraft. And in the results that come back, none of them should have Duncraft in it, because we used the minus sign before Duncraft to indicate we didn't want that as part of the results. And if we also didn't want to see Wayfair, we could take that out too by simply adding another minus and then put Wayfair, pressing enter. And now Wayfair should also not show up. If we also wanted to narrow our results to the results that included literally the words squirrel proof in order, we could go ahead and put quotes around squirrel proof. SQUIRREL, that's the hardest part for me to spell that correctly, space, proof, a close quote, and press enter. So that'll show us the results where bird feeder is present, as well as squirrel space proof, except for any sites that included Duncraft or Wayfair as part of them. Another method that we could use to get that same result is we could go to Google, and down here on the bottom, if we go to settings, we could go to advanced search, and based on how your browser is set up, it may be in a slightly different location. But if we do an advanced search, then we can search for a bird feeder. So over here on the right, it identifies what we should do. Type the important words. In this example, it's showing tricolor, rat, terrier. We're going to be searching for bird feeder. It also shows us that we can put exact phrases into quotes. We can add a minus sign in front of terms that we do not want to have shown up as results. And then we also have options for language and region and so forth. So basically, we could handcraft our query that way, and it would go ahead and put that query into Google for us. So we've taken a look at some basic operators and also a form to do an advanced search, where we can include the quotes and the minus sign. However, there's a whole bunch more that we can do using advanced operators. And what I'd like to do is bring out a document that I have available for you as part of the Nugget Lab files. And here it is. Let me go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. And you can find a live version of this on the web by doing a Google search for Google Advanced Operators. And here it has examples of our searches. So we have the quotes that we can put in if we want literally that string. We have the minus sign. And we also have some more advanced operators. For example, define colon, and then the term that we want to go ahead and get definitions for. There's also calculator functions that are built into Google. And if we scroll down, I want to share with you a few additional options that are really, really exciting. One of those is cite. Let's say we did a search, for example, for bird feeder, and we didn't want the two different brands, and we wanted to make sure it was squirrel proof. After all of that, we could have added on cite colon, and then without a space, we could have put, for example, Amazon.com. And then it would show us the results limited to just Amazon.com site. Another cool advanced operator is link colon, which finds pages that are pointing to the URL that we're currently searching for. And over here on the right, it has examples. So for example, if we put in link colon warriorlibrarian.com, we would find pages that link to that website. And there's a ton here. I just want to focus on a few additional ones. Let me scroll down a little bit more. We have the option of cache. So if we did, for example, cache colon www.irs.gov, we're going to be looking at Google's cached version of that web page. For information about a page, we can put the info colon in front of it. Here's an example, info colon www.theonion.com. We have an option of related as an operator, which could list web pages that are related or similar to the URL. And let me scroll down just a little bit more. Here's some additional great ones. All in text. Again, the meanings are right here next to it. In text. All in title or in title. All in URL or in URL. And you might say, well, Keith, that's handy. We can search for virtually anything and Google can feed that to us. But how is that going to help us with footprinting? And that, my friend, is a very good question. Let's imagine that it's this company that's the target. A lot of devices have interfaces so that administrators can work with those devices. So for example, this firewall, this router, this switch has some type of interface. And if they're web interfaces, and many devices do have graphical user interfaces, that means they're listening on some port for SSL connectivity. Or if it's not secure, it's going to be port 80, or it also could be some custom port of their choosing. So you can kind of think of these devices as running their own teeny little web service for that interface. And my question for you is, what are the chances that there's some type of specific string in the URL for that device? And as an example, in the string for that graphical user interface, let's say the vendor has ABC1238. As Google goes out and they identify all the different URLs and context and strings that are involved, there's a good possibility that they're going to identify ABC1238. And if we do the right query to look for that as part of the URL or part of the page, we can have Google tell us, hey, here's a list of all the websites that we've seen that have that string. And if one of them belongs to the company that we're trying to attack, that's great news for us. That's a possible attack vector that we could use. And fortunately, there's a collection. It's called the Google Hacking Database that has not only documentation about tons and tons of vulnerabilities, it also has in the database the exact queries that we can issue to Google to get those results. And to find the Google Hacking Database, probably one of the easiest ways of doing it would be typing in Google Hacking Database and press enter. The top result in my case is where we want to go, and that is to www.exploit-db.com, and let me go ahead and make that full screen. So from right here we can search, or we can use the drop down and we can search within specific categories, footholds, files containing usernames, sensitive directories, web server detection, vulnerable files, etc. And they've got some of the current ones right here. For example, this one right here, file type PCF Cisco Group PWD. That does not sound good. So that was submitted 4/25 of 2016. Cisco VPN files with group passwords for remote access. And it shows us right there the search. So we can either copy that and paste it into a Google search, or because it's conveniently right here, a hyperlink already, we can just go ahead and click on it. So I'm going to click on that. It puts the search for us right there. And we have 9 results. And if we scroll down a little bit, and I'm going to blur this out to protect them a little bit. And this is a VPN configuration file for the University of TE something. So if your university starts with TE, you may want to take a look at what you're offering out there on the public network. And that's a pre-configured client configuration file for the Cisco VPN client. And usually with an IPsec client, at least there's 2 authentications that are going on. There's the group password, which is important to have. There's also going to be user authentication as well. So maybe the group password all by itself won't be the keys to the kingdom. But either way, this is the type of information that we could do Google requests and get as potential attack vectors. So if we go back, as we scroll down, they have lots of different categories as well. So sensitive directories, vulnerable files, vulnerable servers, files containing passwords, files containing juicy information, and so forth. And if we scroll up and we click on exploits, we have some additional information on exploits. For example, remote exploits. That sounds pretty interesting. So if we click on remote exploits, the little check mark here indicates that these have been verified. So if we clicked on one of those, this was published April 26, 2016. And this exploit can be deployed as part of metasploit, which we'll have a separate nugget on. So if we go back to the Google Hacking Database, just as one other example, and we scroll down, here we have various online devices, things like printers, video cameras, and all sorts of cool things found on the web with Google. So if we clicked on that link, and we scroll down a little bit, here's the one that deals with webcam servers. So we'll click on that to look at the details for it, and we'll go ahead and we'll do the search. So there's our search in title. In title means that the terms must appear in the title of the page. And what we're looking for is webcam 7. And the in URL operator means that the terms must appear in the actual URL of the page. So if we were to click on one of these, I'll right click and just open it in a new tab. Here's a camera. Here's a source. Oh, look, they have 9 different cameras. So let's go ahead and do source 2. Nothing there. Source 3, nothing. Oh, look. Oh, cute little doggy in a pen. Oh, let's see what's. I can't help it. Let's go take a look what's on 4. Nothing there. I'm going to 5, 6. Oh, okay. There's another dog. 7. And there's something there. 8. And we'll go to 9. I guess this is just dogs in a kennel. It's not too much private information. But what if we added that search we just did and we applied it in conjunction with the site that we're trying to attack? If they had those types of devices, that could be another vector of attack and reconnaissance that we could use to get more information about that location. What I'm assigning you as homework to do is to take this document, the Google Guide, which you can get just by Googling Google Advanced Operators. That'll bring it up. Or you can get this file from the Nugget Lab files, either way. And I would have you practice them. That's the best way to get familiar with using the operators in Google, is to practice using them hands-on. And these have examples right here. You can use the literal examples. For example, you could type in info : and then www.theonion.com. Or you could use the site www.hackthisSite.org. So as homework, I'd like you to actually go through this document, and I'd like you to read all of it. And then secondly, I'd like you to practice all the examples that are shown here. In this nugget, we've taken a look at some basic and advanced operators that we can use as part of our Google searches. We've also taken a look at where we can get thousands of pre-built searches for us that leverage vulnerabilities and weaknesses, courtesy of the Google Hacking Database. I'm glad you joined me for this nugget. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.